Hello, I'm Simon Ianson, Chief Strategy Officer here at Hoist Group. It is our distinct pleasure today to talk to Hoist Group's newest major shareholder and board member, Mr. Andreas Jacobs. Andreas is a multi-vertical investor and has been so for a couple of decades now, and has an extremely impressive CV. He's been on the board of multiple businesses and is currently chairman of the world-leading business school INSEAD in Paris. His connections with Hoist Group actually go back some time as a competitor through the Ascentic days, and also as a provider of minibars and other services to Hoist Group through another one of Andreas's ventures. And we're absolutely delighted that you've taken the time today to chat to us. We're going to cover a range of different subject matters, but Andreas, welcome to the call.
Very good to be with you, Simon. Thank you.
Great. My first question is this. You are a successful investor across different verticals. How are you finding the general investment environment at the moment?
Well, first of all, we all know that mergers and acquisitions are down, but interestingly, probably less down than the entire industry, the whole world, due to COVID-19. We all know there's still a lot of cash in funds, private equity and family investor funds, which is directed towards non-liquid investments, so investments in companies for longer term. And that means investors remain very active. I'm very active, more from home office, but I think a lot of opportunities are in the market, and investors usually understand that this pandemic crisis will be over at some stage. And so we adapt already our business models to the post-COVID-19 phase.
Okay, great. And specifically for hospitality and technology as a combined sector, how are you finding the mood there?
Well, first of all, I mean, we all know hospitality has been hit very hard, not just hotels, but everyone behind, including Hoist, and probably harder than the average of all the industry. Second, we know that the hospitality industry is usually a late cycler, which means coming out of the valley a little behind. So we have to be still cautious and keep our funds together. Number three, I would say professional investors understand that at interim, they use models that are post-COVID models to evaluate businesses. We do that at Hoist as well. And so I think the activity in the hotel industry in terms of mergers and acquisitions it is still very active. But if I may add one thing, I think Hoist very well understands that there is a need for consolidation in the hotel industry, especially on the supplier, on the partner side. The industry is very, very fragmented. We need to serve our customers better. We need more innovation. We need more innovation and also development, especially when it comes to the requirements for more digitalization. And we have to deliver more reach, more economies of scales. We have to scale up our technical know-how, our digital know-how. And that all is a fundamental driver behind M&A in the hospitality industry.
I would hope as well, with the vaccine now starting to be distributed across Europe, that economic outlook is going to quickly recover. Certainly the economic portents are looking a bit rosier than they were a week ago, for sure. So you've recently taken the plunge and you've invested in us, in Hoist Group. What gave you the confidence to make this move?
Well, first of all, I was the owner of Ascentic, a company that I built over about 15 years. And Ascentic had the problem of being too small, and Hoist, as the European market leader, was a natural partner to support the consolidation of the market. But Hoist is not just a market leader in size, Hoist is also a market leader in technology. Hoist has a broader portfolio of product and services, which I think allows the company to be more flexible when certain parts are down, other parts are up. So it's not a one product, one stop company. The other thing, the advantage of Hoist, of course, was that it has invested more in innovation, puts an eye on the future, not just on hardware, but especially on software, on data. I used the example of the launch of the Hoist dashboard. And I have to say, last but not least, and as an investor for me, most important, Hoist has an excellent management team, starting with the chairman. Malcolm is a very experienced person consolidating the European market in different fields. Alfonso is a very, very focused and dedicated CEO. So I think it's a leading team in this industry, and that made me believe that we are the strongest when we move forward.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Andreas. You mentioned briefly their Hoist dashboard. They say increasingly that data is the new oil. And what we start to see, or what we start to feel at Hoist Group, is the software and the hardware is one thing, but what you can start to extract from that is becoming just as valuable as the application itself. What emerging trends do you see as relevant, be it data or other areas as relevant to hospitality going forward? And what should hospitality companies invest in or be thinking about when they're making investments in services from companies such as us?
Well, first of all, we all know collecting data is very important. Monetizing data is still in the infant shoes, but we know data is allowing the user to come to forward-looking decisions much quicker, to identify patterns, trends much quicker. And when it comes to the hotel industry, it means identifying requirements of your guests much quicker and react. Data is not there to collect, data is there to use, and Hoist made sure with the tools they have and the investments they did that the use of data is accelerated and enabled in the hotel industry. So what I'm saying is Hoist has invested in not just generating data, they also provide data for the hotel industry to use and manage the guests' requirements. And what I think is also important, we shouldn't forget, the core business of Hoist has always been entertainment, facilitating entertainment, communication, and that remains super important. So Hoist combines the new trend of data with the requirement of a hotel being an entertaining place, providing best communication. And I think this combination is the strongest we see in the whole industry.
Thank you. And to finish up here, let's go back to your CV. It's one of the fullest I've ever seen, and it's very impressive. How do you juggle having so many key roles on a personal level? Or what advice would you give to, say, the students from INSEAD and future investors listening to you on handling these multiple responsibilities?
Well, first of all, I have to say I have always been a curious person, and I was always excited about new concepts and ideas. I worked after INSEAD for BCG, Boston Consulting, where you move from one project to the other, and I was very excited to move from one industry to the other. And that remained my DNA. It requires to be very disciplined. I mean, disciplined in terms of the time allocation, in terms of the coordination of the date. Also in terms of still being curious, not just to scratch the surface, but also to deep dive into something, because you need and must understand where you invest and where you are, what you talk about. And so that combination helped me to do a bit more than normal and other people, but I know the plate is full, so I have to from time to time also discipline myself not to accept too many roles. But you asked also about the INSEAD students. I mean, I hope that the COVID-19 year will not frustrate them too much with all the home office, as I hope it will not frustrate all our employees and all our partners, because 2020 has been a tough year for our colleagues, our employees, our partners, and their families. So for all of them, I hope remain strong. There is a bright future.
Andreas, thank you very much for your thoughts today. And we really appreciate you taking the time and spending it with us.
Simon, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.